I have done a plethora of videos about manufactured homes, but I haven't really broke down the cost of getting one. So today we're going to be going over the real cost of buying a brand new manufactured home, whether you're putting it in a park or you're buying land to go with it. We're going to be talking about all the prices, so that way you know how to budget for one. So first, let's talk about some of the benefits of buying a manufactured home. According to homesdirect.com, they say manufactured homes are less expensive because the factory uses an assembly line to build these homes. The process becomes more efficient. They're built inside, so there's no weather delays, which I'll argue with that in a minute. Manufacturing is not, this is the funniest thing, manufacturing is not disrupted by theft or workers or in hooligans. What is the definition of hooligans? Due to the scale of production, the manufacturer buys large quantities of materials for a less expensive cost. This is true. The property taxes for manufactured homes are lower than on-site homes. This is true as well. Mortgages on manufactured homes are easier to obtain. That's debatable. But what is the real cost of actually doing this? Right now, if you're looking online for a manufactured home, you're probably seeing all sorts of different prices. So you're probably wanting to figure out what the average cost of a manufactured home. And according to the Census Bureau, then 2020, the average cost of a manufactured home was $88,200 in August of 2020. The Census Bureau reports that the average price for a single-wide manufactured home was $57,700, and that's also in August of 2020. The Census Bureau also said that a double-wide is about $109,300 for a double-wide manufactured home. I could not find the pricing when it came to an average for triple-wide manufactured homes. But with that being said, this information is a year old. I couldn't get anything updated since then. Anybody that knows anything about building and building materials in the past year, the average, you can pretty much add another $20,000 in your area for the average price of a manufactured home. But that's just for the house. There's a lot more that goes into purchasing a manufactured home than the actual structure itself. So let's just jump into some other costs so that way you know what to budget for. So first, you're going to want to know what kind of foundation you're putting your manufactured home on. If it's in a park, sometimes parks will already have the foundation that's already set up for you, so you could just place your manufactured home on the park. If you have a piece of land, you're going to need to budget for that. In foundation costs, they can be as little as $8,000 to $10,000 depending on what kind you get. So you can get a foundation that is on piers, you can get a foundation that's on a basement, you can get a slab foundation, and the cost of that manufactured home is going to depend on the size of your manufactured home itself, because of course you're going to have to pour more concrete, then it's going to cost you more because the manufactured home is bigger. Now here in my area in the state of Louisiana, it is very common to see manufactured homes sky high in the air because we have a lot of flooding problems. So you'll see homes like sitting on piers that are like way in the sky. And that type of foundation can cost you a lot more money than if you weren't in a flood zone area and it was just sitting on a slab. Foundations up north that are on a basement are going to cost a lot more than the ones that decided to put a crawl space underneath. So just know that when you're looking at foundations, not all are the same. You can have them very inexpensive all the way to super expensive, but that's going to depend on the area that you live in. And some areas are going to require you to have a certain kind of foundation. So that's the first thing you should be budgeting for when you're looking at manufactured homes other than the house itself. I did find this little chart online. You may want to freeze it right here. That gives you a breakdown of how much foundations cost for your manufactured homes. And that way you can decide which one's going to be the best for you and your budget. Now there's some people that are pretty brave and want to tackle this foundation creation on their own. And here's some things you're going to need to know. If you plan on doing this, make sure you get the right kinds of permits. Make sure the area is excavated correctly. Make sure you have the proper grading of your lot. Make sure you have the right materials and you understand the kind of mixture that you need. And always have it inspected by an expert after you finish doing this. It's not something I would suggest you doing on your own, but if you have that ability, just make sure you do those things ahead of time. So let's talk about the land that you plan on putting your manufactured home. If you're deciding to put it in a manufactured park, just know that you will never own that piece of land. The good news is that you won't have to pay property taxes on the piece of land that you put your manufactured home on. You will be paying rent to the park itself. Lot rents for manufactured home parks range all over the place. But Manufactured Home Magazine said that the average lot rent for mobile home parks for each state in late 2019 revealed that vast differences in the average monthly cost. In California, it was $707, while in Florida, it was about $400. And in Indiana, Louisiana, it's only $140. So you're going to want to budget that out ahead of time if you decide to rent. Also note that if you're planning on renting a lot space, most likely you're not going to be removing your manufactured home from that specific space. If you do have plans to do that, know that when you move it, it's going to be really difficult for the next person that purchases it if they're going to be getting a regular loan, because most loan companies, once a manufactured home has been moved off of its original location, they will not finance that manufactured home. Just note that in your head. Another thing to be aware of is that if the park gets bought out, there's nothing that states that they can't raise your rents. Also know that they do raise your rents all the time. So make sure that you understand what it is your lot rent pays for. Does it pay for your actual maintenance and landscaping around your specific home? Does it pay for security? Does it pay for the streets that are being taken care of? Does it pay for the lights, the street lights that are above? Does it pay for water and trash pickup? All these things you need to know before you decide where you're going to put your new manufactured home. And always talk to the neighbors, because the neighbors have stories for you. And if they hate living there, they can't wait to tell you how much it sucks. And if they love living there, they can't wait to tell you how great it is and they want to make you a new neighbor. So just be aware of that ahead of time. Ooh, and one more tip, if you're not sure of the park and you aren't able to speak to the neighbors that live around the area, the thing to do is visit that park at all different times of the day, morning, noon, and night, and see what the atmosphere of the neighborhood is. You can get a good feeling or vibe when you drive through there as people are looking at you. If they seem like they're giving you the stank eye, that may not be the place you want to live. But if they seem friendly and they wave to you as you drive by, then maybe that's the place for you. Just a little hint. I'd tell that to everybody in every neighborhood. Just always visit it morning, noon, and night to double make sure that that's the place you want to live forever. Now, buying land. This is one of those things I can't give you a concrete price of what it will cost you to buy a piece of land, because it doesn't matter throughout the United States. A piece of dirt is going to cost different even from the county over. So you're gonna have to budget that out with a local real estate agent. And I know she's pushing real estate agents. I'm not pushing real estate agents. There is ways for you to look up land lots on your own without a real estate agent. First, you can contact a real estate agent just for them to send you listings of land lots in your area that are available for manufactured homes. Be sure you are clear on this, because there is a lot of zoning throughout, every state that will not allow for manufactured homes. So be clear with them that you only want to see land listings that will accept manufactured homes that are considered residential. Then you'll get a list that they can set up for you instantaneously. It literally takes them 5 seconds. And then you could start looking at some of these pieces of land on your own. And that way you can also interview your real estate agent to see if that's somebody you really want to work with. But in the meantime, they're really not doing anything for you other than sending you some land listings that took them 2 seconds to do. So let's say you do find a nice lot in a nice area. If you're going to be walking that line, make sure you can get a plat map for that specific area, so you know exactly how far that the manufactured home has to be set back. Also, when you're looking at a piece of land, find out if it already has improvements to the lot. And if you look at a lot of those listings, it will say improvements, and it will say like water or electricity or cable ready. So if those things are already there and established on that lot and you got a good price on it, that's a good piece of land. Now, raw land is something completely different. So when you're looking at something like that, just know you're gonna have to pay for the clearing of all the trees. You're gonna have to make sure that you're gonna be able to get water out there. If not, you're gonna have to dig for a well, and wells can be very expensive, and that is area specific as well. Those can run as little as $10,000 or $30,000, $60,000, $70,000, depending on how far they have to dig down for that well itself. Not only that, you're most likely gonna have to have a sewer system put in. Here they call them a MODAD. I know that's the weirdest sounding thing in the whole entire world. Never heard of it until I moved to Louisiana, but their sewer septic system that is approved by the parish is called a MODAD. And that can be very expensive as well if you haven't budgeted for it. So raw land, know that you're going to have to be paying and expecting a lot more expenses that you weren't expecting. But if you got land that already has all those utilities on it and it's set at that price, you're going to have a lot easier time putting down your manufactured home and that new foundation you just budgeted for. One more thing to think about when you're looking for a piece of land is find out the road access. So if you had turned down a main highway down a dirt road and it was 3 lots over that you found the piece of land that you're going to put your manufactured home on, it already has the utilities and everything. Find out if the road that you were driving down to get get to your lot, you have permission to drive on that piece of land. This has happened here in Louisiana, that they have lots for sale. There is a road there, but that road does not belong to anybody but the first house. So you have to ask for permission to use that road to get to that landlocked piece of land. Most likely they're going to allow for that, but that is something you're going to want to check ahead of time, because nothing is worse than having to deal with that kind of nonsense. Now you have the permission to ride down that road, and it's written in the deed. Also know that you're going to have to pay for a driveway. Now, this is one of those things that you can really budget for, and you don't have to have it immediately. And there's different types of driveways when it comes to manufactured homes. You don't have to do a concrete driveway. You don't have to do a paved driveway. One of my clients just did what they called a crushed concrete driveway. And I was like, what is this? Kind of like stones. And it looked just like stones until it rained. And then it was like a hard driveway. Was it smooth and beautiful? No. But was it functional and something they could use right now? It was perfectly fine. There wasn't anything wrong with it. Another thing a lot of people do is they do limestone driveways where that's just the rubble, and they'll keep those for years, which is really good because then it packs the ground down. And then years later, if they do decide to put up a concrete driveway, they already have that limestone at the bottom that secures the concrete, and then they don't have to worry about it slipping or falling apart on the edges. So just know that ahead of time if you're planning on budgeting and buying a brand new manufactured home and you need to have a driveway. Now, if your land is in an HOA, they may require a specific type of driveway. You may want to check your covenants ahead of time. If you did purchase the piece of land, your title company will hand you any kind of covenants or HOA amendments in your paperwork. So take a look at that ahead of time. And it doesn't matter if the neighbor has a dirt driveway or the same kind of driveway you're thinking about getting. They may have gotten grandfathered in. Just check. You don't want to have to get in a fight with all the people at the HOA if there is one. But if you are searching for lots that are not in an HOA, make sure you tell that real estate agent that you spoke to earlier that you want to make sure that it's for manufactured homes and on a rural track. So that way you do not have to deal with an HOA. So yes, rural track. There's no covenants on those. So which comes first? Buying the land or buying the manufactured home? Well, you're going to be surprised by the answer. Neither. The first thing you're supposed to be doing is meeting with a lender if you're not purchasing either of these cash. Your lender is going to be telling you exactly what you need to do before you ever look at any of those things. So that way they know your budget and what they can do for you as far as a new construction loan to tie everything into one loan. One of the most predatory practices I've seen that's happened to clients of mine in the past is that they bought a piece of land, then they bought a manufactured home. They took the manufactured home, put it on their new lot, and now they have a land loan, and then they have what they call a chattel loan. Now, an interest rate on land is going to be a lot higher, and a chattel loan has historically much higher rates because they consider them to be more of a risk than a traditional mortgage. If they had met with a local lender ahead of time, they could have taken that land and the manufactured home and all the improvements they planned on doing to that manufactured home with the land, like the driveway, the well, the electricity, the cable, all of that. They could have rolled that into one loan. And in many cases, they can do that with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, like an FHA, VA, or even a rural development loan. And it would have saved my clients thousands of dollars. Now, when you walk on a manufactured home lot, they don't tell you this because they want you to use their lending company. And in some cases, some manufactured home lots will have a whole package where you can roll everything in. And if this is the case, I still want you to meet with a local lender to see if they can beat those rates. I bet you 5 times out of 10, they're going to beat them by a long shot. And don't let anybody talk you out of a loan package when the interest rate is lower. There's nothing wrong with a VA, FHA, or rural development loan. And in some cases, I've heard people say to me that salesman told me that it was going to be too difficult to get a rural development loan for my situation. How would the salesman even know what your situation is first? And secondly, it wasn't the salesman's job to tell you that it's too difficult to get a rural development loan for the type of house that they were getting. He's a salesman. He's not a loan officer. So don't listen to the salespeople when it comes to this. Me personally, I would never use the lending institutions that are on that lot. That's just me. And while we're on the topic of salespeople, do me a favor. Whenever you go into these places, don't give them too much information. Don't tell them you just lost your home in a fire or a flood. Don't tell them you have kids. Don't tell them anything that they can use to pull on your emotional strings to get you to sign and buy now. There's no reason it's a house and you can wait and they can wait. Nothing makes me more irritated irritated than a pushy salesperson. And when you're in an emotional state, if something terrible has happened and you have to get a house right now, don't let them do that to you. I just don't want them to do that to you. But there are good questions you can be asking when you're going into a manufactured home and talking to the salespeople. Ask them, how long is it going to take before they can deliver your manufactured home? If you were to sign today, how long would it take to be delivered to your lot? Ask them what the R value is of the walls, and ask them about the insulation of the walls. Ask them how they affix their manufactured homes to certain kinds of foundations. Tell them the type of foundation you're thinking about getting. Ask them what the wind rating is, if it's at a 1, 2, and 3. And ask them what the wind recommendation for your area is. I always want the highest, because even though I may not be in a wind zone 3, I want a wind zone 3 house, so that way I know for sure that it's good, well, and protected. Ask them how much extra it would cost to have that manufactured home with a wind zone rating 3. Ask them about the shingles that they put on the roof. Are they architectural shingles? Are they 3-tab? Ask them if they have metal roofing available, because that will last you a lot longer. Get a breakdown of all those costs, and definitely ask about the air conditioning unit that they plan on using. Now, some of these places are going to tell you that you need like a special warranty to get for your manufactured home. Just know that 99% of manufactured homes come with a 1-year warranty. So if anything happens to your manufactured home within that 1 year, you get a hold of the salespeople and they're supposed to come out there and fix it. There are other things in your manufactured home that are going to be covered for a lot longer. Like your air conditioning unit itself will have its own separate warranty. And then your windows themselves, if they're double pane, some of them come with 5 to 10 year warranties on them. And one more thing about the windows. Ask if they're a specific size, because some manufactured homes have a smaller window size, and when you go to replace them, it's almost impossible to find a replacement. So make sure that the windows and the measurements of the doors are in line with what is available if you need to replace it really quickly at a place like Home Depot, or if it's some kind of special weird size and you have to have it custom built because of the fact that it was smaller than what typically is sold. That can really stink, especially if it has storm damage. We have lots of that here in Louisiana. All right, you've gotten your manufactured home, you've got that picked out, everything's good. You've gotten your land, it's all set up. You've got yourself a nice 30-year fixed rate mortgage that your lender's working with you on. But now, don't forget, you're going to need to know about your insurance and your taxes. Now, a lot of people will tell me that it's really difficult to find an insurance company that will cover a manufactured home. Here is my advice to you. Call an insurance broker who can basically farm as many quotes as possible for your specific piece of property. And don't just take the first one. I would work with a couple different ones to see who's going to give you the best rate. But typically the rates for manufactured homes on insurance are a lot less than a traditional built home. Now, there's other insurances you need to consider, like if you live in a flood zone area, that's not typically rolled into your mortgage payment itself. FEMA flood insurance can cost as little as $500, and then it can go all the way sky high depending on where you are on the flood map. So you're going to want to get that quote ahead of time as well. So that way you know if it's something you can afford every single year. And you never want to let your flood insurance policy lapse, ever. For as little as it can cost at $500, it's $500 of peace of mind. Now, if you're buying this brand new, just be aware. It doesn't matter if you're building a manufactured home, a modular home, or traditional built home. Unexpected things happen. And I know at the beginning of this video, I had explained the fact that they had said that you don't have time constraints. But the way the world networks now, besides weather delays, we have building delays. And in some cases, some manufacturing home companies are telling you right now it's a 15-month wait before they can ever have it delivered to your lot. And there's other things that can happen as well. So when you're having it delivered, the truck itself by accident could knock over some power lines, even some mailboxes, and you're gonna have to pay for those kinds of expenses that happen. Yes, the mobile home company should be paying for those, but in some cases, just to make your neighbors happy, go ahead and replace their mailboxes. It's one of those expensive, it stinks. It stinks, don't get me wrong, but let's not get your neighbors on a bad foot with you because your mobile home company knocked over their mailbox. So just anticipate those kinds of unexpected expenses. I always say to have an extra $10,000 in your pocket, just in case. So what other real costs about manufactured homes did I not cover in this video? Let me know in the comments section. To watch more videos about manufactured homes, you're going to want to click this video right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.